Good afternoon and welcome to Podcast for the Trades. I'm Jennifer Bagley, your host, and I am so happy to have two beautiful women, brilliant women, business owners, entrepreneurs, owner-operators, and influencers within the trade space, Miss Stephanie Allen and Meaghan Likes. Good to see you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, I have a little story to tell before we get started. Stephanie is like the queen bee of networking. I don't think I've known anybody who is as good at making introductions. And Steph randomly sends a message, I think it was a text, that says, Meaghan, meet Jen, Jen, meet Meaghan. And then next thing you know, there's a meeting and we're just sitting here like, hi.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Yeah, delivery probably could have been a little better.
What do you do? And so fast forward, what was it, like a month and a half later, my husband and I were at an event. What was it called, Meaghan?
The huge convention.
Huge convention. And we went away from the conference and we were at the bar and we're like, all right, well, we're just going to find this quiet little spot and we're going to order a old fashioned. We're going to sit down. And next thing you know, Meaghan is there. Next thing you know, I find the second most amazing networker on the planet because she brings an army of human beings surrounding us. Which was really amazing. You guys are fabulous. Tell me a little bit about how you guys met, though.
You know, we met through Catherine Howard, who also is an incredible networker, facilitator of relationships. Mm-hmm. And so Meaghan was introduced to me at AirWorks as someone to come in and help me fix my books to get transparency in the business. And Meaghan has a knack for making numbers simple and for explaining them and for understanding the story behind them and then helping you kind of transform your actions to fit the story the way that you want it to go.
And it was kind of similar, Jennifer. Catherine, out of the blue, showed up in my DMs like, hey, I need you to meet Stephanie. I don't think I'd met Catherine at that point. And the next thing I know, Tom Howard's blowing me up and he's like, you have to talk to Stephanie, like call her back. And I'm like, dude, like, give me a minute. And then Stephanie's first meeting, I think she was in Hawaii. And I'm like, what is this? And it was. And then we
started. Kind of love at first sight, though.
It kind of was like, I think from that call, we were both like, yep, we're going to work together. We're going to do big things together. And
Meaghan made a really bad business decision that day. She decided to just quote me without looking at my book. She's like, it feels good. I'm going to use my gut. And apparently I had the worst book she'd ever seen. She spent way, way, way more time, money, and energy investing in me and my books and fixing things than she had gambled for.
I wasn't going to lead with that. That's not usually like a good, like, hey, meet
Stephanie. I'm nothing if not honest. Like,
yeah. We joke at Likes Accounting. It's like it was the cleanup that never ended. And we had over 100 years of experience on her books for, I'm not going to say it was a while, but we got her escorted. And there was a really happy story at the end of that, which was, I think she has some of the best books in the industry now. And I kind of love that. And she kind of has all of the neat bells and whistles and special features. And we get to brag about closing her books by the 3rd of the month and all these automations. And it also means that sometimes they break. And good news is she's a very understanding human when they do break. We're not going to bash Paylocity publicly on this podcast, but
I will never mention names.
Yeah, but I'm going to throw them under the bus anytime that I don't get to close her books by the 3rd.
And you know what? From that relationship, a new business was born.
So tell me about that.
I feel like, so Steph I don't know, I think in her words, she says, I want the best. Like, she is the person that's always going to get she wants the best. She wants the best people on her team. She sees the best in people. Like, she demands the best and she finds the best, right? Like, she's very much that way. And she, we survived the terrible book cleanup story that you just heard. And I was like pretty new to the ServiceTitan world. I found ServiceTitan like maybe 4 years ago. A guy named Tommy Mello kind of dragged me kicking and screaming into this like larger trades world. I was very happy in the huge convention, Jennifer. That's like my house. Like, I've been staying there for like 8 years, right? Like that's my little playground of 3 million and below labor intensive sub-trade contractors using House Call Pro and Jobber. So found ServiceTitan and I hated it because it broke all of my clients' financials. And if you're listening to this and you're like, well, not mine, it would never be mine. I'm not Stephanie. That would never be me. I will just say I walked around the Pantheon show last week with a $100 bill attached to my chest saying I will give it to anybody that can prove to me that their accounts receivable matches in their accounting system to their ServiceTitan system. And not a single person was able to, except Stephanie. That doesn't count because it's her $100 too as a partner. But
right?
it's
Did she
really,
get $100?
No, because I had the same. I had a button too, and the reason that we can do that is because we know it's possible because my books do match because we use this thing called touchless integration.
right.
So
And I think there's a long version of the story of just me going to ServiceTitan and telling them, me calling Tom Howard back and being like, ServiceTitan sucks, which we're going to get to the better part of this. This is not a bashing on ServiceTitan, but I walked up to the little accounting booth, my first Pantheon, and I was like, every time I have a client using ServiceTitan, I cancel the integration, I break it because their revenue is overstated. They are paying too much in taxes and they don't even know what their true net income is. And I thought it was ServiceTitan's fault. So ServiceTitan said, what's your name? And they said, you're going to be our new best friend. We have this thing called touchless integration. So I ran it on 3 clients that were all right about that $10 million mark. And only one of them went well. And that one that went well was Stephanie. One of them was a complete dumpster fire. I still feel bad for that one. Sorry, guys. And one of them was okay. It was like a mediocre integration. But when Stephanie and I were like debriefing about why did this work so well for you? Why are we able to close your book so quickly? The secret weapon was Stephanie had recruited Jessica Woodruff Smith to her team. And she's a badass, like a complete, absolute powerhouse in ServiceTitan and actually in QuickBooks. Like, I don't think Jessica would say she's an accountant, but she gets how important it is to have data move from this system to this system. And she gets how important it is to have the integrity of making sure that those match. And so she bulldogged that beta testing with me. And Likes Accounting went on to be the only accounting company that actually made it through beta testing and was able to take that touchless integration to the first 500 ServiceTitan users. And I came back to Steph and Jess and I was like, those 2 that were dumpster fire, like that did not work on the integration, they need help. And I can't help them. ServiceTitan is still like a scary, dark, black box of a place for me where I appreciate it for how it helps contractors, but it also is, my bookkeepers can't do it. They're bad at it. They don't like it. They don't want to do it. So Steph was like, well, that sounds like a business, Meaghan. What are you proposing? And so I was like, well, I have this business in a box on the shelf. We should test it out. And here we are. What is it, Steph? 1.5 years later? Yeah.
And we put wings on this box.
I was literally just, as you were talking, I was going, I just talked to a company this morning that has 3 locations.
You're going to be looking at the website to which you might not.
Did $100 million in business last year, and they're getting ready to move all commercial and residential to ServiceTitan. And I was like, hang on a minute. I have a team you have to talk to before you go pull this trigger. Please.
Here's the other thing about Touchless that I just think is so cool. Once you get to a certain size, companies thought that they had to move their accounting from QuickBooks to Sage Intacct or some other things. But you don't. Because if you have the touchless integration, it doesn't break the accounting system. Meaghan can talk more about the details of that. But as a contractor, I have so many things changing. I don't want to have to change my accounting system and invest in that too. And so I saw this as such an incredible service for the contractors. Not only are they not going to have to switch when they scale, but they can have real life numbers in their QuickBooks at all times. And as a practice, I keep my people out of QuickBooks. So there is no reason.
Remember messiest books of all time. Like it wasn't Steph that was mucking them up, right? And it wasn't even like her team members mucking. It was just too many hands in the pot.
Everyone has good intentions. Everyone has good intentions.
So question. So this company I met with, they're getting ready to pull the trigger. and moved to ServiceTitan, at what point do you recommend bringing you guys in? Is this you come in and clean house? Is this if you can set systems up the correct way at the migration status, then it's a much easier process? What would you
So
recommend?
here's the thing about ServiceTitan that I learned. ServiceTitan is a software company. They're not a service company. And if they put too much attention into service, they lose their status as a software company, and therefore they are less valuable. So it is not their primary line of business to serve the customer, which is really hard for us as contractors. So when I signed up with ServiceTitan, I immediately went to a third party. And like Meaghan says, I like the best, right? And so I was working through a few third party vendors at the time. And I said to one of them, who happens to be Gary Woodruff Smith, now on the Boxed team, I said, Gary, I need to hire you. I need you to be on my team full time. He said, Steph, I do consulting. I'm not interested in going in-house, but I know someone who might be interested. That's how Jessica showed up on the team, right? So I immediately Facebook stalked her, friended her, did all of the things. And she has a great background too, because she worked in a family business like ours, but then she also has worked for PE. So she's been able to kind of see at massive scale how to work in ServiceTitan and also how smaller contractors need to use it. So I had support from the very beginning, and I think that's why we have such sophisticated systems now in ServiceTitan. So my advice is set it up right. Don't try to learn it on your own. Don't screw it up first for us to clean it up. That's why there are so many of these consulting companies popping up supporting ServiceTitan users. But our goal is to get you jump started, get you set up correctly, and then have minimal monthly maintenance so you have access to ask questions and you essentially have a fractional COE. Now, ServiceTitan calls that ServiceTitan expert the center of excellence. So that's who the COE is. And so on our team, we have Jessica and Gary who have all the certifications, all the specialties. And not only have they learned it because they went through the training at ServiceTitan, they have worked it in the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's really critical because a lot of these companies that have popped up to serve ServiceTitan users haven't used the software.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. So for everybody that's listening, let's go back a few podcasts. You've heard this theme before, right? We've talked about garbage in, garbage out. We have talked about how difficult it is to be able to implement forward-thinking systems or even AI in your business throughout. If the database and the systems and the processes are messy, or if you try and make a software fix or modify a software to work within an oddity or reinvent the software to do something unique in your company and break it, then when you try, or when you get to a point where you're trying to run automations, or you're trying to do touchless integration, or you're trying to pull reports by campaign, I think on the marketing side and the book side, we're looking at two messy systems that look the same, because we have the same vantage point for the Marketing Pro software, which is usually a giant hunk of mess. We can't see anything. It is an absolute disaster. So the theme here is get help soon, early, do it right the first time. Bring in the team that can help you through the process. Don't wait.
Yeah.
And I'd say use the, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go, Meaghan. I was going to pivot. So
I was going to say, and use the tools as they were intended, right? Like I loved how Stephanie said that I tend to simplify things. Like I think marketing is like a really fun, sexy buzzword these days because people like just throw money blindly at marketing without any expectations of results. And then you like see a product like Marketing Pro and you're like, dude, it will do all of that for you, but you just have to set it up correctly and you have to feed it correctly. You have to monitor correctly. You have to like look at it, right? And I feel like financial systems are the same. One of my favorite things about what we've done since we did Touchless integration is now I have very accurate and timely hour by hour forecasts for companies. So if I have a business owner tell me like, what's the budget for this year? They can log in at any point to my dashboard and see how they're going to finish the month. And we can do that on the first day of the month, and we can do that on the 20th day of the month, and we can do that on the 8th day of the month. And I am encouraging that contractor to be like, you said it was going to be a $10 million month, and this is every day it's saying it's going to be a $4 million month. It is time to pivot, stop spending so much money, turn the ship around, and let's just like eat crow and do a $4 million month profitably. Okay. Yeah. And then let's set up a better system. So next month we can try again to get to that $10 million month. But I've like finally iterated this process of using that data to drive decisions. And I think a lot of people use data like to react, and I'm trying to shift them. Like one of our core values at LexCounting is to be proactive. And I'm like, no, we have a responsibility to pull out that crystal ball with everything that we know today on the 25th of the month to make sure all of my companies will close profitably, because I'm looking at it every single freaking day. And that's my job. Even if I have to do a spending freeze, we will end the month profitably. And it is a 1 month at a time game, right? Like that's how we're doing it.
So question, Meaghan, from your vantage point, you obviously have insights into a lot of companies' financials. How often and at what point, well, what's your vantage point right now? Do you feel like the state of the market, the state of the industry is doing well, growing? Or do you feel like there's a pullback over the last 12 months? Are they tightening up?
Who are we asking about? Are we asking about customers? Are we asking about contractors? Are we asking about
contractors?
So, I mean, so last year at Likes Accounting, company-wide, our clients averaged a 78% growth rate. This year at Likes Accounting, company-wide, we're at a 34% growth rate. Okay. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm negative, well, then you're not on average with our clients. That doesn't mean that you're doing badly. It just means there's like probably something in this funnel that's not working. I feel like one of the things I love about the trades more than I love about the sub trades is we are like ordinary and necessary and recession proof. Our growth rate should not be dependent on what's happening in the market. Now, with Stephanie said, I like to simplify numbers. Like I love to simplify numbers, and I am a numbers nerd, and I have a teeny tiny window cleaning company that keeps my feet on the ground. And that teeny tiny window cleaning company started telling me about 2 years ago that my average ticket was going down. It also started telling me that my lifetime value of my customer is going down. And the reasons why was because my consumer in my specific market was spending less money, less frequently. Now overlay that on top of an HVAC company or a plumbing company, like there are ways to mitigate that. There are a lot of ways to mitigate that. I have like 100 different letters that I get to pull in my luxury service of window cleaning company. And it's just my job as an owner to be, okay, which lever are we going to pull this month? So Jeff Likes Clean Windows is my company, and we're sitting at a 60% growth rate this year.
Let's go.
Last year, we were really struggling with that average ticket and really struggling with that frequency number. So we leaned super heavy into technician sales training. We leaned super heavy into CSR training. Like we were like, what do we have in our control? And the answer for me was not more leads. Like that was not the lever I was going to pull, because that's the most expensive lever that you can pull. The answer for me was like really intentional middle management training, accountability, and visibility, transparency. Now, it's easier for me because I have a $985 average ticket. You might be listening to this and you have a $19,000 average ticket or a $13,000 average ticket. That might be a very different experience for you with a larger job size. And I know Stephanie has a larger job size that she can share her experience on. It's also easier for me because I'm smaller. So like I'm pivoting with a team of 15. I'm not pivoting with a team of 50. But I like looking at that Likes Accounting average because that's many industries all across the United States. And that's showing you a pullback, 78% growth rate to 35%. That's a pullback.
But I also want to point out that growth does not equal profit.
Also true.
And so I think that it's really important for our listeners to understand that you don't have to grow to increase your profit. And so some of this is right sizing, right? Yeah. We've lost sight. We lost some sight of repairs over replacement. We became a little bit more transactional than relational. And we lost some market share because of that. And we lost profit because of that. And these are
Mhm.
all things that I'm seeing and course correcting in my business. And so when we get up here and we talk about industry growth, I also want to say, like, the top line doesn't matter if the bottom line is shrinking.
I love that. Yep. And I feel like again, Likes accounting statistic company wide, last year our clients averaged an 18% net profit percentage. This year they're trending at 22%. And I think that part of that pullback is being really thoughtful and intentional. And most of the places we're watching them get closer is their marketing spend. Like
Mhm.
all monies at Google is not working this year.
Ads,
Yeah.
Google ads,
Google
right?
ads.
Yes, definitely.
Guerrilla
That's
marketing is working beautifully for a lot of people this year. And it looks different for everybody. And I understand I'm talking to a marketing expert, so I'm not going to get out of my lane, but I am saying, like, I had a really fun meeting yesterday with a small business development center advisor. So that's like the consultants of the SBA. And he
Mhm.
was taking apart a balance sheet for like an hour. And then he was taking part of P&L. And it was like such a simple exercise. Like, go look at your biggest buckets of expenses and go normalize them as a percentage as you've grown or not grown. Like, where are we getting out of whack? A really
Mhm.
common one is software. Another really common one is marketing. Another really common one is insurance, right?
What about
Like
payroll?
payroll, we tend to, well, okay, actually, I'm not going to say we. In my huge convention world, Jennifer, where you were, we're dialed. We got that shit down. We're so good at it. These HVAC, plumbing, electrical contractors, this is not something they get excited about.
Mhm.
Because it's smaller. It's a smaller percentage. For staff, it's 15%-ish labor, direct labor. And like, I think for me, it's like 35%. Those are I'm going to care a lot more about a 35% line item. But for them, like, they get to sell equipment, right? Like, they get to sell a water heater and an HVAC unit and a softener. Like, they're having to mark up equipment, which
Yeah.
is different math. But we're
So-
seeing our own challenges there, right? Tariffs.
Mhm.
We were talking about that this year. That was a big deal, right? Rising costs.
So I think everybody got off a whirlwind of a sequence of events that was really hard to plan for. They had the unknown of COVID, which created a significant amount of demand. Significant amount. You could be horrible at marketing, but do an amazing job during COVID because demand skyrocketed. There was a lot of overspending. They went right off of COVID into an election year, which automatically has typically a 30% reduction in total demand from consumers. Every 4 years, it's like a shoulder season. Right out of an election year into the first time ever where Google lost 10+% of total search volume. Because people now eat at a different restaurant. And this has been a compiling sequence that I don't think a lot of people plan for. We were just trying to educate consumers previously, like election years come every 4 years, plan it like you would a shoulder season, right? If you know there's going to be a 30% reduction in demand, get in front of 30% more market in order to maintain or larger to grow. So this has been quite a series of anomalies I think a lot of people have struggled with. Steph, I know you at Pantheon, you had a lot of conversations with contractors. What's the sentiment from the industry as a whole from your vantage point?
My vantage point says everyone's hurting. That we're really separating like the top and well-funded companies from others. Now, misery likes company, so maybe I'm inviting some of that right now as I'm like navigating through the dark space that we have been in. But I am super excited about what the future holds. And I think that I have taken some bold moves to set us up to win. There's risk with that, but I also have a really strong foundation in my community that I don't think is going to go anywhere. Right.
Mhm.
And so it's so funny because we're out today on an 18-year-old system, a 22-year-old system, a few others. And if you're talking about that in a normal business, like those are great opportunity calls, right? But my call by calls, like we've taken really good care of these customers for years. Like I don't expect there to be any mechanical failures on this equipment. And so we're out there educating them on what's possible, but we're also saying like your 22-year-old system's looking great. We'll see you next year. you know?
Mm.
And so, but we're building those relationships. I'm not a one and done shop. I very much believe in the longevity of the customer. And right now we're in a repair season, and we will replace again. We are looking for other ways to serve our market. We're looking at ductless mini splits. We are looking at insulation. We're doing generators. Like, we're doing other things outside of the box. I'm trying to do my best to not get distracted in those other things. And so there's a balance there for sure. But you know what I have to look at? I have dashboards to go back to. And so I will use those dashboards in ServiceTitan and in the budget that Meaghan helped us create, and we'll try stuff and then we'll tweak it and we'll change stuff. But the only way that I know if it's working or not is data. Right. And like, as you know, Jen, like, we made massive changes in our marketing. And I keep saying, Jen, is it working? And you're like, let's look at the data. Like, we only have this much. Let's look at the data. And the data looks really freaking good.
We have, 46 days of data.
Like, the data looks good. So right now we're like full steam ahead, but we just have to make sure that we're keeping our eyes on those numbers. And so what I was going to say earlier is I truly believe in experts. I always want to work with the best. And I love that Meaghan does that for me. She challenges me in a lot of ways. And she brings some hard facts right up to you. Don't have somebody in your corner rooting for you without sugarcoating it. Go find that human.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
100%.
And
so I also think it's really interesting, just to piggyback on that. Like, when I met Steph, when we went through a financial coaching engagement together where we did a turnaround and a transformation with her, and she had and developing, and they were running all these reports. Jess actually was running all these reports, and she was like recreating ServiceTitan reports in this way. And I like distinctly remember sitting with Steph and being like, so ServiceTitan has this answer. Like, so ServiceTitan has this answer. And like, and it was just like a retraining almost of like going back to the tools that we have, the tools that we've already invested in, and then transform that leadership team. Like, she is surrounded by like strong humans and leaders who like are learning their lanes. And it's been messy, like from the outside, not to share a story, but like, how do where is the service manager? Who is in charge of repairs? Like, where is that install manager? Like, where is that person? And then how do they go? How do we create a sandbox for them to go play and win? And I think that it gets discounted. Like, I think we hear about all these stories of like these overnight successes. I'm like, that shit takes time. Like, building a leadership team takes time. Creating like transparency. And one of the major mistakes we made is we invested in leadership development first. We did not do we did no investment in management training. So then I was surrounded by these amazing leaders that couldn't hold anybody accountable. And so like, it was like the weirdest thing. And when I finally, it was this woman named Amanda Powell, and she's sitting there, and I think we're in a bar. I'm always in a bar. I feel like I actually don't drink that much, but I love to hang out in bars. And Amanda doesn't drink at all, so this is not collateral for her. But we're sitting there, and she like just spews, like in her classic genius, like a 30-second spiel, the difference between leadership and management. And it completely broke my brain. I was like, oh shit. And the fun part is that's been actually a really easy and not as expensive an investment of a tweak. Is like, I just had to teach these leaders how to manage and then develop their managers that they could hold the people accountable to drive the results. And Steph, I know you've been in the trenches, but you are building all of that. Like, don't beat yourself up. Like, and you are turning like a big ship. And it is turning. And I feel really,
I've been on a couple webinars today actually, and I'm like singing this really vulnerable song, but it's because I want contractors to come with me. Like, I want people to understand it might look shiny. Like, I've gotten awards this year. We're celebrating 15 years in business. Like, for all intents and purposes, it looks really good. And I'm here to tell you, like, it's freaking hard. So, but hard doesn't mean you quit. right? Hard is like time to double down. And so
Entrepreneurship.
run to the roar. Like
Hard.
the fastest way through the storm is to run to the storm.
Yeah.
Right? That's how you get through it. And so we're facing it head on. And the other thing, my other secret is I don't do it alone. Like I am not in any of this alone. Meaghan will tell you, she always thought it was really weird because I never came to a meeting by myself. Like I want to bring my people with me. It's a lot faster to do it on your own, but I think you go further together. And it's really incredible. We're not doing the one-on-one coaching anymore, but I hear her almost every day in conversations that I'm having. And so, look at who your circle is, level your circle up, make sure that you have experts in your corner, and you're all like looking to win together. But I think there are also hacks that we can learn, right? One of the conversations that I sat in between the two of you, I think was you guys figuring out how you felt about putting accounting out there into chat and AI. And so I think that would be a fun conversation to have too, like with a PM.
Meaghan, what do you think about AI and accounting?
I mean, I love it. I'm totally for it. I feel like that first time that Stephanie's mentioning, Jennifer made me feel like I was like this far along and she was like this far along. And I was like,
in case you're listening, that was 2 inches to 4 feet.
Oh, yes. And not because Jennifer said anything wrong. It's just she was like so developed in how she'd been building out agentic networks and what she'd been training them to do and how she'd been securing her data. And I was truly like in my infancy during that first call. And it was a good learning lesson because I was like, oh, damn, yeah, no wonder this is so hard because I'm looking at it from the wrong angle, right? Like the way that I was doing it using third-party vendors was really scary. It was really vulnerable. It was really like hard. And I think the way Jennifer's doing it is harder, but she has a lot more control. And so I was very inspired by that conversation. And I was so grateful to have a second conversation about it. And I think this is one of those things that like, maybe this is the point of Just Start AI is you have to just try, like start where you are and then do better. Right. And like, I feel like a lot of times we're speaking like completely foreign languages. And we are. So and we're writing a new language right now. And it's a language of efficiency. It's a language of evolution. It's a language of technology. And I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer, except that if you're not playing, then you're getting left in the dust, right? Like, and that's what I'm seeing from you guys in Just Start is like, literally just start. Like, Steph came to my house and had to diagnose a mini duct or a duct, I don't know, whatever the thing is that does the air on the thing, that thing. And she's using AI. Like she sent a picture of my thing to AI and I'm like, wow. And then we baked together quite a bit. And this is my favorite recipe cookbook sidekick. Like I made a perfect loaf, Steph, on your birthday, just for you. Perfect loaf. And I hadn't had a perfect loaf in like 6 weeks. So
yeah, that's the point of Just Start. Like you got to just start somewhere. And real life story, last night I'm messaging back and forth with Jennifer and she's like, fill this part out, put it into Manus, just ask this question. Right. And I did that. And I waited and I was like, there's going to be gold. I can't wait. And then I sent the answer back to Jen and she's like, your Manus isn't trained well enough, little shit. And I was like, is she calling me a little shit right now? Or is she calling Manus? And I was like, I'm going to take it as her saying that the bot is not being trained well enough. But what's going to be really exciting about that and why I love how we work together is now I'm like, Jen, help me train mine and then help me teach others how to train theirs to do the things to be more efficient. Right. And so on calls that we've been on in the last week, I'm like, let's create how to have a branding guide. Let's create how to have your voice, like how to train things that she takes for granted because she's done them and her bots are ready to be deployed versus like where I am. And so we're able to work together in that way to bring contractors kind of packages, if you will, to get started, some jump starts. So excited about that.
I spent you know how I am, I go psycho on this stuff. So I spent a weekend and I built, it was like 132 page prompt, just one. And I was golden. I was so excited. I'm like, oh, we're changing everything. Check this out. I got a whole piece of the business. We're revamping everything. And then Manus had launched the collaboration mode where we can work in the same agent environment. And so I had thrown it out there and I gave it to the team and I was like, run this, you're good, da da da. Same exact thing. They came back and I'm like, no, oh my, okay. This is why you build agentic networks, because you can control it versus now I got to depend on how well is your bot trained versus my bot versus theirs. And now I also know these exercises and being able to work with you, Steph, on stuff like this, it means so much because, like, you're right. I'll stand in front of an audience and I'm like, just do X, Y, and Z. You only need to ask it 4 things and you're going to get the exact output. Not true, because it's not a well-trained agent.
That's what a lot of, it feels like, gurus do in the industry anyway. Like, oh, it's so easy to add plumbing. It's no big deal. Like, you can make money, just add plumbing. You know, you're like, it's not that easy. Like, stop sitting there and telling me that it's easy. Come do the thing with me. And so it's just great to have experts like both of you in my corner, and really in contractors' corners. And that's why I'm working with both of you, is how can we make your brains, your subject matter expert information, accessible in the trades? You know,
Hey, Meaghan,
I think we're doing that.
You willing to do an accounting class for Just Start AI group?
Absolutely. Happy to.
Look, I always ask these questions on the podcast because I'm like, it's recorded. I have proof in it.
No. Yeah. No.
No.
Totally. Happy to do that. Yeah.
I think it would be huge.
Because I think it's dangerous when we say, grab your P&L and throw it into a bot and let it tell you how to predict your future. You know, and we need to.
It's often. I think it's interesting because you guys are investing so much in the training of them, and then I also love that you're shielding those agents, right? So that, like, it's, you know, what garbage in, garbage out, right? You know what it's gonna do. You know what assumptions it's gonna make. I love, like, you know, just standing in front of a room and being like, yeah, but ChatGPT is super bad at math, right? Like, it is so bad at math. It is shocking to me. But then you're like, but you can train an agent to not be bad at math. You can train an agent to deliver, like, an actual plan, an actual analysis that uses these assumptions, where you can train it like you would do manually, right? And I think that that's really inspiring. And I think it's something that's really well needed. And I think it's also something that we're going to start navigating, is, like, you know, AI for good, AI for bad, AI done well, AI done wrong. Like, I think it's interesting stuff about the prompts, because with our teams, we're doing all of this prompt, what is it called? Like,
engineering
to an extent, but just training, actually. Like, things that I take for granted that I would never not prompt with. Like, I always say, like, nobody's allowed to send me anything that came from AI unless they send me the prompt. Unless they edit it first, right? But they got to send me the prompt. And then I'll be like, okay, well, here's the 12 places you went wrong. Like, go try again, or train it so that it asks you, right? Train that agent so that you can actually get a measured response.
Yeah. So your sequence, right? You playing with conversational AI, which is ChatGPT and Manus and so forth. Playing with it is good because you learn how to train an agent. You learn how quickly you can go off the rails if you don't include. Your next version is, imagine taking all real data and allowing those agents to then run simulations based on facts. And that's when you start building out these little mini agents that are good at just evaluating COGS, evaluating cash flow, evaluating each little tiny section. The smaller the agent is, the more focused it is. You can make that one tiny agent perfect and then let it work with other ones. That's, dude, I can't wait to see what you guys do, because I think you guys are going to be first.
Blows my mind. Still blows my mind.
It's weird. Well, we were sitting at Pantheon and ServiceTitan. It was so fun to see what they launched there with Atlas. And I feel like, you know, Steph talks about call by call coaching. I feel like we talk about the simplicity, and that's all I felt in that room was, we're going back to the basis. How many leads did we get today? How many calls did we get in? How many calls did we get out? How many of them did we book? Of the ones booked, how many did we convert? What was our average ticket, total sales, total revenue? And, like, I think people people can complicate the shit out of that entire pipeline. But at the end of the day, like, just do better than you did today, tomorrow. And if you can get each of your technicians to do slightly better than they did yesterday, like, this is how we win in our own business against ourselves. And however you want to use AI to set them up for success, great. But like, that is the basics. The basics is just stay there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wish there was more connection. I feel like the industry as a whole, and even all of us, this is what these conversations are so good at, is we all look at everything from a certain vantage point. It's like we're all walking around with kaleidoscope eyes and we can only see, right, whatever's in our purview. Because if you were to line up everything you just went through, right, if you took all the data from ServiceTitan and you said, how many leads did we get for this particular service in this particular city? What was my closing rate, or what was my booking rate? What was my closing rate? What was my average ticket? Say you map that entire thing out on a spreadsheet and you exported it out of the system. So for you, you'd be able to analyze, all right, let's go look at what jobs were profitable and what jobs were not. Which of those services and which of those locations are we generating leads that are converting and leads that are an average ticket that is profitable, right? If you took that data and backed it out and dropped it into a marketing strategy, it's the same thing, right? You can't, and then you did a gap analysis. So if over here you had this huge list of, these are all the services I want to sell, these are all the target markets, and not just cities and towns, but also Meaghan's going to be first to tell you, well, if you target more wealthy households or whatever, right? Higher income households, it's producing a higher average ticket. There's more systems per job. You're at one job installing 3 systems instead of 1 system. That's a good market. Well, then you could back into a marketing strategy that says, why don't we go after golf course communities? Why don't we go after high net worth areas? Why don't we go after or households that this, and start focusing your marketing efforts on the communities that generate the highest average ticket and the highest closing ratio? That's like, there's nothing that it shouldn't be so disconnected. It should, the more that we all start working together, the better.
We should be doing that I started doing that in 2007. Like, I used to buy lists from the post office. Like, the street I live on now, we had printed out as a map because there are only 40 houses on this street. It's the best street in the best town. And we were like, we want to get every house on that street. And Jeff would just cross them off as they would call us. And we would just guerrilla market to that street, right? Like, yeah. I feel really strongly that AI can now just help us do this better and faster. But the basic principle of marketing, this has been here the entire time. Like, we just have to get back to the basics, and we don't have time to mine lists. I should have never been mining lists with the post office back in 2007. Now I can do all of it for you, right?
What do I want to sell? Where do I want to sell it? Do I have visibility of that when and where people search? Right? It's that simple. I was on a meeting with a client earlier and I was like, your website is currently a lemonade stand. You want to sell a Home Depot. You're missing the entire inventory list of everything you actually want to take to market. And it's showing in your books. You can see it because your sales look like lemonade stand. So slow it down, back it up. Let's go back to basics. Let's build a business like I would a retail store. If I was going to open up a retail store, make a list of what everybody wants to buy. What do they need? I would create an inventory list. I'd go find my vendors, build the inventory list. This is the same. It's just digital.
I mean, this is the question I asked Jen last night. Because at first I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And I'm like, whoa, tell me what I should be doing. Help me figure that out. So she's trying to get me to go through the effort or the energy of creating the right prompt and putting the right information in. And I'm like, stop trying to teach me things and just tell me the dang answers. But I'm learning and I'm getting involved, and and I'm doing it to help. I have to be able to learn so that I can teach it to other contractors. And so I'm really excited about that. And I'm excited about how we can tie the financial piece in with the marketing piece. And, all of this is really important. And I keep saying, I'm building my table, right? And we've taken that out and we're now calling it the boardroom. But we're building this table to support contractors. And I feel really grateful that I have Meaghan at the table and Jennifer at the table with their geniuses to help guide AirWorks to the next level. So thank you both for not only being my partners in that, but then for taking my wild ideas and deciding to help other contractors with them. So I really appreciate both of you.
I appreciate the fact you show up, suit up, and participate. I don't care if it's 11 p.m. at night, midnight. Stephanie don't sleep at 1 a.m. meetings Sunday night or text message. I'm there for it. I'm like, this is the first client I've had that keeps the same hours as I do.
My husband does not love it. We got into that last night, but here I am. So, yeah.
I'm sure.
That's funny. That's
Oh
funny.
my. So as we wrap this up, if you were to give anyone who's listening, so we'll talk to owners and operators, if you were to give them a hit list of things that they should really concentrate on, be it mindset or be it tactical or what, rolling into 2026, pick 3. Meaghan.
I'm really on so I'd like to pretend that I'm in the trades. It's a sub trade, teeny tiny window cleaning company, but it keeps my feet on the ground. And we're really into calls right now. Call quality, call volume, booking rate. Like basic. And every day we are like analyzing the crap out of that. Yeah. Inbound, outbound, calls booked. Like those 3 things, it's top of funnel. And I don't know what other decisions I need to make. Like I'm still keeping a handle on the other ones, but I'm really focused on these. So like I can tell you now, like what hours of the day call volume, right? Which days of the week, like these kinds of things for staffing, for lead management, for lead performance. Like I'm really nerding out about calls right now. And I think that it's partially because my team will say, we've got a great team right now. We've got the people, just give us the work, right? And so it's like, okay, my job as CEO of that company is to get them the work. And where do I want to focus on getting them the work? So yeah, number of calls in, number of calls out, number of calls booked. Those 3 numbers, top of funnel. And you can get super nerdy every direction from there. How those are they returning clients, existing, new clients? What's the lead source? What number do they call in on? Whatever, overcomplicate it as you want. But first, how many calls did you get yesterday? And how many of those calls ended up on your board? I think that's where I'm going to leave people, like very basic.
I love that. I love the fact that you said what day and what time. We've been covered so many times where they don't have a solution for Saturdays, and Saturday at 11 o'clock is their highest call volume and they didn't even know. So I love that you go to that degree of data, critical stuff.
Hang on, sorry, just to interrupt for a quick second. The other part about outbound is we realized we weren't calling our leads within that 2-minute sweet spot. So when we started doing that analysis, that was like the other part, is the outbound, like actually analyzing the outbound, like who are we calling? Why are we calling them? Yeah, super fascinating. We created a bunch of automation around that. So the outbound was also interesting.
A significantly better mindset for an owner operator to have than we book at 98%. I'm like, show me how, show me a report. Okay, well, I mean, I know we do because my team is good. And I'm like, that's different than show me a report. It's never the same as the spidey senses. No spidey senses data. Steph.
I'm going to shift a little bit from data and numbers, and mine has to do with more like be the light. I think that it's really dark, and I think sometimes that darkness creeps in. And make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that help you see that light and pull you towards it into 2026. I hear repeatedly again and again that those who can survive this winter will thrive in the spring. And I'm not talking about literally winter to spring, but like this dark time into the next of growth. And I think that has a lot to do with linking arms with the right people and collaborating and making sure that you know the right data, you're putting your attention on the right things, you're controlling the things that you can control, and you're not getting sucked into doomsday.
Yeah,
none of that. Like you are in control of your destiny, and it is time to take that bull by the horns and go. And that is going to be data. Like, look at your numbers. I want to know how Meaghan's diving so deep onto particular calls and what she's doing and how she's nerding out there. And I'm going to ask her those questions offline. But when you hear these things, dig deeper with people. And generally, she'll learn something from the engagement that we have back and forth. People want to share this stuff. So ask more questions, be curious, find the light.
Yeah, I love you guys. What I hear from both of you guys is accountability, not brushing your shoulders off. I hear you guys as owner operators being accountable for the results that are happening in your business and being willing to put in the work and dig in and figure it out. Ask more questions, less assumptions. So you guys have been absolute pleasure to have on this call. I love beautiful, smart women who are doing big things. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for all you do in the industry. Thank you for dragging everybody with you. I know you guys are pulling contractors every day, trying to get them more involved, educated, information, access to great partners, great tools, and great people. Thank you for all you do. Appreciate it. For those of you watching, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Like, share, comment, and if there's something particular you want, if you want to have Meaghan back, you want to do an accounting, but dig into the weeds, you want to nerd out, I'd love it. So I just say, if you want it, ask for it, because I would like it too. I'm still learning accounting. I think all entrepreneurs are. And if you guys need help with your ServiceTitan account, which 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, you probably need help. Definitely check out boxforthetrades.com. Get in touch with these ladies. They can help you unravel your spaghetti, get it organized so you can have a lot more clarity. Without clarity, you cannot focus. You don't focus, you won't execute. You don't execute, you won't win. So let's knock it out of the park. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.